Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll give a little bit of time here as people kind of filter in throughout their days. And thank you for everyone who's watching this from the future as well. I know the recordings are available in a few different areas. My name is Alex Mayer. I am going to be covering today gamifying real estate transaction, your real estate business. And I'm also going to recommend that if you haven't watched any of the other videos, I did do a quick summary on what to um, just last week on the trainings I did back in January and February of this year, which we're covering branding, marketing strategy, how to set up your morning routine, what to expect from setting up an initial phone call with your clients, and then setting proper expectations and boundaries with your clients as well. These are all critical things that I use in my business, and one of the reasons why I feel that my clients have more success as buyers and sellers in today's market is they know what to expect, how to operate, what needs to be done to be successful. And I really feel like if you set the table before you sit down to dinner, you're going to have a much better experience. So if you would do a good job of setting those expectations with the clients and you deliver on everything that you're promising to those clients at the same time, you're playing your game. You're going to have a much more successful real estate business and happier clients, which at the end of the day, happier clients leads to a more successful real estate business. I did change things around a little bit just so people understand who were here last week. I'm training this week, next week, and the week after that to fulfill my icon status documents. I was next week going to be training on how to set up a budget for your business and why it's important that you actually have an expense budget, because if you are a business owner, that means having expenses. And if you don't have expenses, then I don't know really what it is you are providing your clients other than your knowledge, which is critical, of course. But you need to make sure that you actually have something that benefits them. I decided to rotate those around. Next week, I'm going to be on Ragbri, which is a bike across Iowa. So I'm actually going to be teaching my lifestyle by designs. Those of you who have known me for years now probably know that I'm known for traveling quite a bit. I actually, in 2023, was away from my market a total of 16 weeks. I was still working, but it was ability for me to maintain my business while also doing the things that I enjoy. And I'm excited to be spending a week down in Iowa, biking across and camping every night and, going on a rolling festival. So I will be teaching next Thursday while I am on Ragbri. So if you want to get a little bit about how that works, I would encourage you to attend that. So just letting you know, I am rotating those last two from last week when I was discussing it. Today, I'm going to be talking about gamifying your real estate business. Now, I am now almost 10 years into the business, and I am actually someone who's not a big fan about talking about how long I've been licensed. I think there are a lot of agents out there that will start off a conversation with, I've been in the business 20 years, and that is not how I operate. I lead with production. And I remember being a first year real estate agent and going up against those agents who would treat me like I didn't know anything. And then you go ahead and you look at their pending transactions, you compare it to yours, and you're doing 3 times as much business as they are in that active market. So I'm not so much someone who focuses on how long you've been licensed. My point with bringing these things up is I don't want someone to compare their year 1, their year 2 to my year 10. Okay. I also don't want someone to compare their year 5 to my year 10. And I don't want, comparing myself to someone who's been in the business for 20 years if they've been doing it on a consistent basis as well. So really what I'm going to be covering today is how you can make it so you have daily goals, but they aren't always necessarily going to be as rigid as what they need to be. So just to be clear, though, there are many different levels and definitions of success, different experiences. There's different types of businesses. I know real estate agents out there who are really focused into tenants and property management, agents who are into commercial real estate. I'm a residential real estate agent, but there are multiple different ways you can go about it. So as I'm talking today about the things that I focus on and what I reward for a point or 2 points or 3 points might be completely different than what it is that you try to do as well. There are also, I tell people, 11 different ways to get business. Some people, they like open doors. Some people are into networking. Some people like cold calling, Google leads, referrals. I'm big on referrals. There are pay at closing programs. You can go off your SOI, social media, flyers, door knocking, billboard seminar. There's just so many different things that you can do to build your real estate business. So you need to determine what it is that you think you should award those points for. I think a lot of consumers and even real estate agents oftentimes will focus on the wrong things. Early in my career, I would see real estate agents who had a lot of success right out the gate, right? They got on the phones, they talked to people, they started setting appointments, they got those clients to hire them. They went out there, they showed houses, they listed houses for sale, they started getting them under contract. But while they were doing all the busy work in real estate, they stopped doing the things that were necessary that actually led to additional business down the road. So you've heard me talk about this in my morning routine, in those initial client calls, setting proper expectations and boundaries. But I really want to stress that the 3 core jobs of you as a real estate agent, number one, every day, if you do nothing else, is to generate business. That means get new clients coming into your business. Number 2 is to be maintaining business, which is taking care of your showings, going on inspections, writing those contracts, handling negotiations. And number 3 is closing business, which is actually getting paid at the closing table. And I would also throw in getting new clients in that category as well. 1 and 3 are kind of the same in that regards. But I see a lot of real estate agents that they get tied up on, hey, I'm about to have 4 or 5 closings this month, and I'm going to have a big payday. Well, they've stopped doing all the work, so they go from having 5 closings to having no closings the next month to maybe having 1 or 2 the month after. I have seen real estate agents actually fizzle out of the business after having a good 1 or 2 years because they stopped doing what was necessary. So again, I really feel like people oftentimes are focusing on the wrong things. I personally like closings too. I'm a big fan of 5-figure checks, you guys. It's one of my favorite things to see that enter my bank account. So obviously closings are important. But if I were to say what I feel is between closing deals and bringing on a new client, I would rather be bringing on a new client. I'm weird that way. It's one of those things you have to learn how to celebrate the successes in real estate. And that means you actually have to learn to celebrate the actions that it takes to get to where it is you want to be. And there are many actions in a real estate transaction, and there are actually very few successes. Although you can go on people's social media pages, you'll see their highlight reels about them getting to closings, under contract, getting a new listing. That doesn't take into account the 300 actions that you had to take to actually get to that closing table. And part of my 6-point system is to also find ways to celebrate your successes and the leading indicators are actually going to result in you actually getting those closings as well. So we want to reward the activities. We need to build a business, not just hope for wins. So that means that we have to require daily actions in that direction. And it means putting yourself in the way for good things to happen. If you go back and you watch my morning routine where I talk about my offensive and defensive strategy, where I focus before 11 a.m. in the morning on my offense, which is moving the needle forward on my business. And then after 11, my defensive period, which is when I'm doing those showings, those appointments, and getting kind of the busy work done in real estate. Again, I don't think necessarily that's the best time to be doing it, but for me, it works because it means I'm going to get it done, because days in real estate have a tendency to get hijacked with someone yelling at their lender and you got to get involved, or there's a situation where someone's got to see a house right away. It's easier to get everything done in the morning so that you're able to focus on those things. So again, this is just to summarize all this. There are different definitions of success in real estate. There are different ways to run your business, and you might be happy doing 10 deals a year. You might be unhappy if you do less than 40. You might be someone who's looking to 100 and you got a larger team. I'm just here to show you what I focus on, and what I want you to do is I want you to take what you like out of it, delete what you don't like out of it, and I want you to change it up and make it fit what works for you. The 6 points daily goal is what I focused on early on in my career. Nowadays, I'm kind of lucky enough where I'm established, where it just kind of feels like I just naturally hit those 6 points on a day-to-day. And it's really about building momentum in your business more than it is about actually having the successes day-to-day. So the goal every day that you wake up, and that doesn't matter if it's Saturday or Sunday, you want to still have a business running. We do not work 9-to-5 jobs. We're not working all the time, but we have to make sure that we are pushing that momentum forward every single day, right? It doesn't have to be the same force every single time, but what we want to do is we want to make sure we're hitting kind of those key leading indicators. So what I'm going to break down for you is what goes into that. So in the 6-point system, in fact, you know what? I'm going to share my Word document with you so you can see what it is I'm talking about here. So if you can see my notes here, if someone could just drop me a thumbs up in the comments and let me know that you're actually receiving that, I would really appreciate that. But I'm actually covering here in the 3 points. So every day your goal is to hit 6 points, right? So if you are going to get a closing, whether that's a buyer or seller that day, I would count that as 3 points. That is something that is actually moving the needle forward on your business. Same with signing a new client, whether that is getting a buyer under a buyer representation agreement, or if you are getting a listing contract. That's before it actually even goes active on the market or before you get under contract. These are things that are positive for your business. So I give them 3 points, half of my 6 daily points score. Getting a property under contract, whether you get an accepted offer as a buyer or you get the property under contract as a seller. And I also include setting an appointment with a buyer or a seller as getting 3 points as well. So if you actually wake up in the morning and you have 2 people who schedule appointments with you, you have hit all 6 points. If you get a property under contract and you set another appointment, you have hit all 6 points that day. I personally believe that the goal needs to be that we try to shoot for 2 clients or 2 appointments a week. If you hit 2 appointments a week as a real estate agent, that's 8 appointments in a month. If half of those clients actually close, that's 4 deals. In my market, that's an average of $11,000 in commission per sale. That means I made $44,000. If I'm making $44,000 as a real estate agent, as a solo agent where I'm at in my career, I'm king tut. I can afford all my expenses in that regards. And nowadays, as you get better at this and your clients become more qualified, they expect better, your conversion rate is going to be more than 4 a month. But I've always believed if I try to hit those 2 appointments a week, then I'm going to have the most success as a real estate agent, right? Nowadays, I'm very lucky. There are some weeks where I'll have 3 or 4. I actually hit a record of 7 appointments in 1 week. I think it was about 2 months ago. So when you get to that point in your career, things can just get a little bit better. I'm going to zoom in a little bit forward on these things. And again, I'm going to strongly recommend that, yes, you can go and you can screenshot this and you can create you can look and do exactly what I do, but I'm going to recommend that you create your own points system as well, right? There might be some audibles that I would put in here for a 3 points, right? Like if I went in there and I re-updated my about page, because if the number 2 website that your consumers are going to be looking at when they go to your personal website and your clients are researching you is going to be your about page. It's actually one of the very first things that I share with clients right away. So what I did, just to give you kind of an idea on about pages, is I went and looked at my top 5 competitors in the Rochester area marketplace. And then I looked at 5 agents across the country that I know and trust. I looked at their about pages. And what I did is I made sure that my about page actually is going to look much better to anyone who's comparing my about page to that other agent's about page. That when they actually start working with me or they're comparing it, like, well, this person seems to know what they're talking about. It's human. He has rewards. He has multiple reviews. We're comparing things. And they're like, well, based off of these things, we do want to talk to this guy, right? And people do look at those things. And again, it's one of the very first things that I actually share with people. So 2 points would be things like recording a video. You know, I'm a digital marketer, right? So I record 2 to 3 videos a week and then I run advertising ads behind them on social media platforms like Meta, TikTok, things like that, right? And part of digital marketing, you know, I guess I'm not going to go into too much. You can go back to my branding video on that. But the goal is to always be consistently ever present with consumers and to also remind your top 100 to 200 people that you're actually working with. I also would consider 1 hour of prospecting as being worth 2 points because that's actually moving the business forward. When I talk about prospecting, I used to be who woke up in the mornings and between 9 and 11 o'clock in the morning, I would call people who had registered on my Google website through Commissions Inc. There are other systems out there. There's Lofty, there's Homes.com, there's all these other different what's it called? Boomtown. There's all these other different Google lead generation systems. But if you are on the phone for an hour, I would say that's 2 points, right? So if you do 2 hours in the morning, that's 4 points. You just got to get 2 more points on that day. I would say releasing a video ad with the money behind it would also be worth 2 points. Collecting a 5-star review. I have over 110 5-star reviews on Google. I have almost 300 5-star reviews total on So Tell Us. So collecting a 5-star review and having that added to that list, people do look at reviews. And if they are thoroughly written reviews, you're going to be in a much better situation. If I haven't taught on reviews, maybe I should add that at some point. But it is very critical to make sure you're getting as many reviews as you can because consumers are looking at that. If you are buying a product on Amazon, one of the first things I will do is I will go down to the review section. I'm going to look at someone who gave it a 5-star. I'm going to look at someone who gave it a 1-star, and I'm going to try to find someone somewhere in the middle, right? Fortunately, I haven't gotten anything less than a 4-star in my career, but as X approaches infinity, it'll probably happen. Removing a contingency. That means if you have an inspection contingency and you're representing a buyer or a seller and remove that, I would also give that 2 points. That's moving the business forward. If you have a situation where the appraisal comes in that value, I would also give that 2 points as well. If you are someone who his life is, if you're a masochist and you want to host open houses on the weekends, go for it. I'd give you 2 points for it. Honestly, for as much work as it feels it is for me, I'd probably give it 3 points, but I know in my heart that it's only really worth 1 point. Right, I'm not a big believer in open houses unless I'm going to get a client from it, and I know I say that as someone who's gotten 4 clients from open houses this year alone. It's just not my idea of a good time doing that on a weekend. If someone refers me a client, I also give that 2 points as well. And if that client actually reaches out to me, that's another 3 points. I'm at 5 points, right? So if you get a referral and you actually convert that person to appointment, that's actually 5 points right there as well. I also do differentiate between sharing names and referrals. Okay, if someone's just going to share my name, that hey, I shared your name with my neighbor or something like that, I give that 1 point. I am still going to treat the person who shared my name with someone as a referral source, because they are someone who is actually sharing my names and talking with people about me, and that's something that I want to make sure that I reward, and they're actually going to go on a list of referral sources. I probably will have a conversation with that person about what I actually expect when it comes to referrals, which is that I want them to actually introduce me in a text message, in a group text message, not just share my name. If you get more intentional about that, people will actually do a better job of sharing your name in a proper way. I should also state that I do not ask for referrals. I let people know that I am referable, and that if they were referred over to me, I remind them of that so that they know that I'm someone that they want to keep sharing. But I actually don't ask for referrals. I'm probably the most referred agent in my market, but I don't actually ask for them. Other agents in my market hate that, but I just feel like it's icky to ask people for referrals. It's something weird. I would also give 1 point if you have a really great buyer or seller conversation, meaning like you are in a point where you're rescheduling a call with that person. It was a good conversation. I would not give that a full 3 points, because you actually haven't set an appointment with that person, but you actually established a relationship with someone. Even if it's not on the phone, if it's someone that you met out in the community, I would also count that as well, right? Connecting with a client outside or an SOI out in the market, that's someone who's like, hey, I saw your flyer in the mail. They start talking to you about real estate. If you become one of the community market leaders, like what Krista Mayshore says, and people start recognizing you everywhere, that's a really good feeling. I give myself a point every time someone says, hey, I think I recognize you. I know who you are. When you do this right, it gets to the point where people are just start asking you about real estate. It's like, are you going to tell me who you are? But it's establishing credibility. You're actually having a conversation with someone. If you take care of that person who remembers you and you make them feel like a human being, they feel like they've met a local celebrity. So they're more likely to share your name with other people and reach out to you directly, right? I also give myself 1 point when I get a pre-approval letter on behalf of a buyer. Any sort of maintenance work on the business, that would be like filling out a closing information form or anything like that. I am not someone who likes to get too tied up down into the details. I have a personal assistant who does my paperwork for me. When you get to that point in your career, I'm going to tell you it's one of the best things that I did. I pay her $450 per buy side, $550 per sell side at closing. And it's the best way that I've been able to find to really run my business. So I don't even have to worry about that anymore. Back when I was doing my own paperwork, it was a situation where I would dread it and I would take days to do it. Nowadays, I just tell her to do it, and she seems to love it, right? Again, I give 1 point for sharing name, not necessarily for a referral. And then I also have half points that I allow out there for other things. So if I'm going to be doing 3 showings during the afternoon, that's 1.5 points. If I'm doing 2 showings, that's 1 point. If I'm doing 1 showing, that's half a point. That's moving the business forward, because the more I feel that my clients are looking at houses, the more comfortable they're going to be when they actually find the houses that they like. I also give myself half a point for a final walkthrough. You might want to give yourself a point for that. I think I originally used to do that. I also give myself half a point for doing a social media post, whether it's me, my dogs, taking photos of my car and they posting that on my story. Someone sent me photos of coasters, anything that's showing either my business or something personal about me that reflects upon my business, right? I also would include handwritten note cards to people. I know people who have made their entire careers out of writing 10 personal notes a day. And that's all they do. But because snail mail nowadays, if you get a note in the card from someone, that's actually a special thing nowadays, right? Something that someone actually took time to actually write something. Most of us, when I look in my mail, if I got 10 pieces of mail, 8 of them are junk. One of them was a bill, and then the other one is probably also a bill. Now I think about it too, right? But if I get a piece of mail from someone who I've worked with before that's a handwritten note, it is actually a special thing. So when I actually run my marketing, I have multiple different things that I kind of hit on that. Again, you can go back and watch that initial January video to get my branding strategy. I would also put in, if you've ever had a situation where someone goes on in one of the Facebook groups in your market and they ask for a real estate agent, and all of a sudden it gets 400 to 500 comments from different people who are recommending agents. I used to not really believe in those things, but ever since I started implementing my referral strategy about 3 years ago, I usually get mentioned the most by a factor of 2 over the person who gets mentioned second most. And I would include being mentioned 12 times on the platform where there's 200 comments. I would include each one of those as half a point, which would hit me at 6 points on that day, right? I respond to those comments. I respond and reward the person sharing my name. Again, it's not actually about the referral. It's about the referral source who's mentioning your name. If that person is sharing your name, you need to write down, you need to have that person's name saved somewhere, because that is someone who's going to refer you business because they feel good. And if you are responding to that person directly, you're sending them a personal note if you have their address, you're sending them cookies or brownies, whatever, rewarding that, that's someone who's going to continue to do that. I do include a few additional things. I talked about the about page. I try to hit 2 appointments a week. If you're someone who does flyers and you want to have like a design approved, I would also recommend doing things like that, even getting out into the community. So in my market, there's this thing called Thursdays on First, which is where everybody goes downtown on Thursdays and they do things like that. I bring out my dogs with me so they recognize me. And then if you're someone who wants to, like, farm markets and you go out there and you actually do like community stuff, I would say walking around a neighborhood that you are actively farming is actually going to be something that's powerful. Actually, as I'm talking about that, in my market right now, they're actually doing the Best of the Best awards through Post Bulletin. I actually won this 2 of the last 4 years, and I'm hoping to win it this year too. I'm actually going to include the link in the comments for those of you who are doing it right now. It's going on daily for the next 3 weeks. So if you would actually go in there, you just have to enter your email, hit vote. You can vote daily. I'm hoping to win this year. My biggest competitor actually has 30 agents on their team. So it's going to be difficult. And I don't really think it's fair because they have 30 agents and it's just me. But, it is what it is. So I just need to get as many daily votes as I can. So I did put that in the comments for those of you who are willing to take the time to do that. So why do I feel that this 6-point strategy works? Because it's all about momentum in real estate, right? And again, in real estate, there's this tendency where we're focusing on closings all the time, but you have to reward the things that are getting yourself to closing as well, right? This can be a very grueling, rejection-based business, especially when you are early on in your career and people don't necessarily know who you are. You need to find those moments, but like, yes, I just got a point off of my 6 points, or yes, I just hit 6 points on the day. Your goal should be to get as many 6 points as consistently as you can, as many in day to day as you possibly can. If you're someone who is big into like friendly competitions with other people, you're welcome to do that as well. Personally, I never really shared this with anyone publicly before. It's one of those things where like I would internalize it to myself, because I knew if I got on the phones for 2 hours that day, then I hit 4 points, and I showed 2 houses in the afternoon, I got another point, I'm at 5 points. And then one of my clients finally got their pre-pool together. Now I'm at 6 points. Now there will be days when you hit above that, and that's great, but every day you start back again at 0, right? So as you get better at this, you'll learn to be excited about being at 0. I'm reading a lot of fiction books right now, and one of the books I'm reading is about a rock and roll band that was on the rise. And one of the characters had mentioned how people think that it's when you are at the top of your game, like you are the number 1 agent in your market, where you're going to feel the most successful. And that's actually not true. It's the potential to be. It's when you are on the rise to those things. anyone here who's at any level of real success in their business can go back and think about when they were early on in the business and how much they felt that the grind of rising to that was actually a better experience. So for me personally, I like to be challenged, which is why I really like that 6 point system. Is I know every day I got to hit those things. Again, nowadays I'm kind of the point where I'm just blessed enough where I'm probably hitting over 10 points a day. And I just get kind of lucky with it. And I am doing the things that I say. I'm recording the videos. I'm running ads behind them. I'm sending out flyers. I'm out at the gym. I'm running into consumers while I'm out there. My car's parked out there. I'm doing the store. I am doing the things, and it's more out of habit than anything. So anyone who really wants to take this and make this their own thing, I want you to think about the 3 core parts of your business. For me, it's going to be social media marketing. It's going to be me being out in my community. And then it's also going to be my top 100 people that I am focusing on. Now, I also am doing other things. I do flyers. I have Google leads. I have other systems. But what I want you to do is focus on the 3 key things that you can build upon, that you're like, okay, what can I award 8 point or 2 points or 3 points or half a point for, right? Maybe you'll give yourself an audible and give your report a point. I don't know, right? If you're someone who likes to do networking and you go to BNI groups every single week and you want to waste an hour sitting around with other real estate people, or not real estate people, but other business owners, more power to you. Not something that I enjoy doing, but that might be something that you enjoy doing. You might give yourself 2 points for that, right? You might be someone who likes to go door knocking, and for every 10 doors you knock on, you give yourself a point, right? You will never catch me door knocking, but that might be something that you want to do. So again, take this system, make it your own, figure out what sort of points it is that you would want to go for directly, and then try to hit that 6 point goal and try to stack up as many days in a row as you possibly can. I got about 3 minutes here. I don't see anyone here on video. But if anyone wants to jump in and ask some questions, I will leave myself available here for the next 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm going to open that up here in about 20 seconds. Remember, next week I'm going to be out on Ragbri, which is a bike across Iowa. I will be on here doing the call. I'm going to be teaching lifestyle by design. Again, I'm someone who likes to travel, and I like to make sure that if I'm running my business, I'm doing the things that I enjoy doing, which again is why I don't do very many open houses, even though they are profitable. Yeah. So I'll open up questions right now. Does anyone have anything for me?
Hey, Alex, it's Mary Ellen. So, I know you were really big into cold calling when you first got into this, and I'm noticing a lot of your point spreads are really face-to-face networking.
Yeah.
Which is great in your community. Do you do any print, or is that something that you assign to your personal assistant, like postcards, like pre-listing stuff and so forth? Is that why you pay her a little bit more for the sell side on a TC?
So TC stuff on the sell side, I pay her more because she's got to do like the input stuff and making sure to handle all the stuff on the back end. By a client that is like more old school, maybe they're not good with computers filling out like seller's disclosures, she will actually call them and she will have conversations with them about filling out those seller's disclosures. I do actually do postcards too. I just implemented that this last year. So I send different things out to different communities. I have 3 different markets that I actually send things out to every single month now. I actually hire designers for that. When I talk about it in 2 weeks about the importance of actually having a budget, like I'm going to be talking about like having people who are better at things than you are. I'm not a designer. I'm not good at all. So I hire people to do those things for me. I do not do as much prospecting, like phone. I don't call it cold calling because these are people who actually raise their hand, entering their information on Google. This is actually a warmer lead than you think. I call prospecting or new business development. So much anymore. Mostly because I have actually established myself in the community as an authority in real estate. So I'm more likely to be referred business or having repeat business, or someone says like, hey, I see you everywhere, and they reach out to me directly. So I focus more on those things nowadays. But I think when you're very early starting out, Mary, like you need to have business and show that you're an expert before you have the right to even ask your family members and friends for business. Sense. But I'm not a networker. I'm not a networker. Not in the traditional sense anyways. When I think networking, I think like I'm going to an event with all these other business owners and I'm rubbing shoulders with them. And I never liked BNI groups. I've always felt like it was like a bunch of average salespeople getting together, trying to for each other average business, and they probably already know a realtor anyways. I don't have time to commit an hour every week to sit there and
Right.
plays pitch.
No, I love the point system. I love the point system, especially for, a lot of times people have ADHD or squirrel brain or whatever you want to call it. Doesn't really matter. It is what it is.
Yeah, and I'm diagnosed ADHD. I'm medicated for about 15 years now, but I think that's part of the reason why the 6-point system was so good for me, and one of the reasons why I do most of my business needle moving activity in the mornings is because I do have a tendency in the afternoon to just be like, I don't want to handle all these things. Right.
Like, amazing. Thank you. Thanks for sharing it.
Happy to help. Any other questions? We're at 10:30 now, but if anyone's got anything for me, now's your moment to shine. Okay, Adam, I think we're good to go. See everybody next week.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.